Hello, my name is Alex Isles and welcome to a Victorian Christmas. So welcome back, and now you've made it all the way to the final episode where we're going to look at the period of time, the Victorian period, which pretty much created Christmas as we understand it today. So obviously, as we've seen over the episodes, Christmas starts off, obviously we have midwinter festivals such as Saturnalia and Yule, and then Christian Christmas is added on to those to actually bring people away from what was seen by the Christians as idolatry and then into a relationship and a focus on Christ over the midwinter festival. Over time, it went from being popular to being unpopular to being popular again. And as we enter Victorian period, we actually start to see how Christmas really scales up. At the beginning of the 19th century, Christmas isn't actually even seen as much of a holiday. It's not even really celebrated that much, mostly because of the effect of the earlier centuries. But what starts to happen is a combination of the fact that the Victorians love tradition, they love all of these sort of things, Queen Victoria herself, Charles Dickens, and Industrialisation, all cause for the festival that we know today. So why don't we start having a look at it? Now, to start off with, Queen Victoria marries Prince Albert. And when she marries Prince Albert is obviously German. When he's German, he brings across a lot of the German traditions to the British Isles. When he brings these German traditions, we have things like the Christmas tree added. We have things like the importance of the family gathering together. And the royal family brings out a family photo, which is then publicised for both the newspapers and also postcards and things like that. So more and more, Christmas starts to become a family gathering, a place where people want to be together, and the idea of gift giving starts coming back into people's lives again. We also see at the same time that you start seeing a moral element of Christmas coming through. Charles Dickens wrote a lot of his different books to show morality within society, and he often looked at morality from a secular point of view. So when he looked at morality from a secular point of view, he put forward the idea of what we should be doing. And because of that, he created the Christmas Carol. And the Christmas Carol then took this idea of peace and goodwill of all men, which was already sort of in existence with Christianity, and then put a moral fibre onto it for the Victorian age and said, actually, we are looking too heavily at profit, we're looking too heavily at all of these sort of things, whereas actually looking after people, charity, family time, food and drink together, caring for the poor, these are the important things of this festival. And so that really stepped up the way that we understand Christmas today and brought it all into view. So obviously today, a large part of Christmas is obviously charity, as well as gift giving and family time. So that then brought stuff together and created the sort of the sense that Christmas must be celebrated more. You then also, on top of this, have the creation of the railways. Now, railways actually meant that people could start traveling around the country and could get home within a day. Now, when you could get home within a day, what they started doing was they started extending the holidays. So what they went is from just Christmas Day being the day off to also having Christmas Eve and Boxing Day, which meant that if you were working in another city or something like that, you could then travel home, see your family, gather together from all over the country, and then go back again. And so even when the factories are producing all of these different things and they need their workers, you can have a few days off, and then from those few days off, people are gathering together because of the fact that they're being influenced by stuff like Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol and Queen Victoria and her own family gathering together for Christmas too. So that became a very important part of the festival and the celebration as well. Industrialisation also meant that toys went from small handmade goods that were made by family members. So, like a wooden toy crafted and made with, your own woodworking ability with a small knife, or clay and pottery and stuff like that, or gaming pieces or tokens and small things that you could make yourself, to actually meaning that suddenly you can mass produce toys. And when you can mass produce toys, now they are readily available and readily affordable by all members of society. So suddenly you're now creating more and more things that people can purchase and give to gifts as children, but also in exchange of gifts amongst adults as well. So that then means that the Christmas present becomes a much larger part of the festival too. Some Christmas traditions over here in the UK also saw the mince pie, which had existed since the Tudor period and even possibly into the Middle Ages as well, starts becoming more and more important. And instead of having meat mince, they replace the meat with fruit and create the mince pie that we know today in the British Isles, which is obviously a very popular Christmas food. Alongside this as well, the Christmas cracker is created. And when that's created, the funny thing about the Christmas cracker initially was it actually caused injuries because they've got the gunpowder mixture wrong. And so when people were pulling the Christmas cracker, they were actually blowing up and injuring people's hands and things like that. But then from there, the Christmas cracker has evolved. It then has little notes. And today in Britain, the Christmas cracker is famous for having really bad jokes inside of it. And so when you have the really bad joke inside of it, the idea is the worse the joke inside the cracker, the more you can bring people together. So because of that, a good example of a Christmas cracker joke would be something like, what happened to the man who stole the advent calendar? Oh, we got 25 days. And so they're supposed to, you're immediately, I can even hear you through YouTube right now going, oh, Alex, why? But they're supposed to bring you together because you can all agree that was terrible. But now we've got consensus and that creates peace amongst us. So there's no arguing of going, oh, well, I didn't think that was funny or I thought that was funny. Everyone can agree it's horrendous and therefore that brings everyone together. And so that's one of the great things about those sort of traditions is that as they built up, it was to create unity and that was all connected together with the Victorian sense of morality. The idea that you have a unified people together, you know, Queen Victoria and her family, showing the model family that everyone should emulate. And in the same way, that is then shown in other ways. You know, people started sending Christmas cards because now you have a postal service that then means that you can send Christmas cards between people. So Christmas cards become a bigger and bigger thing. And even today now, you know, the Royal Mail in Britain sets out a time and says, right, this is the last day you can send your post. Not only for sending gifts, but also because the tradition of Christmas cards is still so ingrained in our society from that period. Caroling also came back into fashion as well. So caroling had occurred in the Middle Ages and you would go into churches and you'd dance in circles singing hymns and singing songs together, but obviously was banned at different points. But in the Victorian period, it became popular again. When it became popular again, the caroling of the Victorian period was door to door and you'd sing hymns and they took old traditional carols and put them onto new music. So now people could enjoy those songs again as well because there was always a looking back to the past combined with modern traditions to create the Victorian period. And so it's a funny one at a period when there's that sort of hanging on to the past, but also constant change and revolution in technology suddenly results in such a change and such changing traditions that we now see as set in stone in so many ways. Changes in diet. So in the past, beef in the north and goose in the south were the two main Christmas meats. In the Victorian period, as it comes through, turkeys have been mass imported from the New World, from North America, and so because of that, they're now farmed in East Anglia, and so turkey takes over as the main meal. On top of this as well, we start having Father Christmas. Originally, Father Christmas started off as a midwinter festival god and was a part of the festival traditions. So he was connected right the way back, and some people have theorized, though I don't think this is correct, that he is connected to Odin and stuff like that. That's actually not really true if you really look into it. But the idea of Father Christmas is connected to this idea of Father Time and the turning over the year and all of those sort of things. But then he was connected with Saint Nicholas, who was brought over, and it was interesting how it happened because Dutch settlers of North America took over Saint Nicholas with them. Then that created Father Christmas across in North America because of the mixing of the English and the Dutch tradition. And then that came back across to Britain to create Father Christmas as we know him today. And so there's an interesting one of how traditions move across the world. And so today everyone sees Father Christmas as his reindeer and his sleigh, but originally comes from an 18th century settling of Dutch migrants to North America. So much of our Christmas traditions are actually built up of layer upon layer of different traditions from different cultures, different times, bringing together, and then ultimately the Christmas we know today is created by industrialization. And then finally, on top of this as well, the fact that people had more time off because they were allowed it, because of the fact they'd been influenced by the moral writing of Charles Dickens within A Christmas Carol. And then all of those things come together, mixed with all the social change as well going on in the Victorian period to create Christmas as we know it today. So I really hope you've enjoyed this. I know this is shorter than some of the other Christmas episodes. So the modern Christmas we know today was brought together from all of these different traditions and then set in stone so much in the Victorian period. And even today, new traditions are developing and changing as our society and culture moves forwards with integrations of new different cultures and peoples into the British Isles and in other cultures around the world. So I really hope you've enjoyed this series. If you have done, please do like and subscribe, share the videos with your friends, but most of all, I just really hope that you have a wonderful Christmas, and thank you so much for watching. So please do join me in the new year when I put out new videos, but in the meantime, safe journeys, God bless, and Merry Christmas.